Hello again, everyone. I'm Paul the Nitro Skywers, and welcome to this edition of the Nitro Corner. Today is Monday, and it is the Nitro Opinion. Today, I want to reflect on something that's sort of a little tragic and on a somber note. This past weekend, I was on YouTube, and I caught a video from the TV Tracks channel on YouTube featuring former WWE star Scott Hall. He was at an independent show when he was at a PWG independent show, as I'll put it that way, up in Massachusetts. Well, what I saw was an absolute train wreck, as Scott Hall came slow out to ringside, looking like he was about to keel over. And I don't mean to say that in the cruelest of ways, but that's how I see it. And it turned out Scott Hall was slow, his reflexes were not that good, and he had to be helped out of the ring after a match, which he did not participate in. He was involved in an angle, I think. But this reminds me a lot of tragedy in professional wrestling. I've seen my share of tragedies as a wrestling fan. I think the very first one that I've experienced as a fan was back in February of 1986 when gorgeous Gino Hernandez passed away from a cocaine overdose in February of '86. First initial reaction from me was, oh my God, is this, I thought it was an angle. I swear to God, I thought it was an angle. I was young, I was naive, I was in 6th grade when this came about, but it turned out to be true. It was very somber enough to realize, hey, this is real, this ain't an angle for television. And ever since then, tragedy certainly has put a downward somber on professional wrestling, from Magnum TA's car accident to the many deaths in professional wrestling, especially Owen Hart's death. And I can on a side note, I can remember that because I watched the pay-per-view that night and that morning, thinking in my mind, I am ashamed to be a wrestling fan because of what I witnessed. I paid $19.95 at that time, that was the price for the pay-per-view, to watch someone die? No, I'm not that cruel of a human being. And so it really came to question myself as a wrestling fan. Thankfully, I put myself in check and said, hey, stuff happens in the world of professional wrestling, even though that was not supposed to happen. Owen Hart should walked himself to the ringside or done something like that, not propel himself from the ceiling 70 feet above the ring. It was absolutely ridiculous. It was wrong. But back to the tragedies of professional wrestling, it always happens when you least expect it, or when you see it, you feel so somber and so pitiful and sorry about the person, and have remorse about that person. It kind of really puts you in question about being a wrestling fan per se. The Scott Hall footage this past weekend reiterates the point. I hope Scott Hall is better. My best wishes to him to make sure that he returns back to good health, and onward the road goes, and I hope he feels better. So that is my opinion on the tragedies of professional wrestling, and for those who passed away, God bless, good speed to you, and for those who are suffering right now, hope we all get better from this. So on an ending note, tragedies do happen in professional wrestling. We just gotta recognize them and deal with them appropriately as wrestling fans. And that is it for this edition of the Nitro Corner for today. Tomorrow on the Nitro Corner, it is my Monday Night Raw report. Until then, I'm Paul the Nitro Skywers saying, so long, everybody.